We're also welcoming back former service members who were wrongly forced to leave the military. More than 8,700 service members were involuntarily separated for not taking an experimental COVID-19 vaccine. Others were more informally pushed out or decided to get out. We are welcoming actively back those warriors of conscience. We've sent letters out. We're seeking them out. We want them back. They never should have been forced to come back quickly. Personnel and Readiness Department is working in real time to make that process more and more efficient, more and more direct every single day.
It's awesome. I can't tell if it makes me happy or angry. I'm happy about Pete doing it. I'm happy the Trump administration's doing it. But it just brings back all these old anger sharks inside of me, remembering that we just kicked out thousands of our most patriotic citizens because they didn't want a stroke when they were 25 years old. Joining me now, my friend Steve Deace, host of the incredible show, The Steve Deace Show. Okay, Steve, I don't know if I'm happy or mad about all this. It just brings back all that COVID tyranny, and I really need somebody to go to prison, Steve.
I don't think you're alone in that, Jesse. And ultimately, you know, you and I are both parents, and anybody who's been a parent for more than approximately 5 minutes realizes that without consequences, you get more of what you've essentially incentivized with your lack of action. I think we also need to understand the level of bureaucracy that people like Pete Hegseth are up against. I mean, for example, a buddy of mine is Davis Johnson. He was one of the very first attorneys that got into this on behalf of these 8,000 plus soldiers that were being really purged from the military for failure to, be an experimental specimen for a non-authorized vaccine. And he was not happy with the initial rollout of President Trump's executive order, but he stayed patient and persistent. He was respectful but persistent. And then, Pete came back with an ancillary statement. He referred to it as an unlawful order, which now gives attorneys like Davis all the standing they need. Because what was happening is a lot of the bureaucracy, Jesse, was individually still screwing with these members in their attempts to come back by claiming, well, you still violated a lawful edict, so we don't have to give this to you. I mean, they did not want to fulfill Trump's executive order, the bureaucracy, right? And so I would imagine people like Pete Hegseth, people like Dan Bongino, I bet their phones are full of people that know them and are friends with them like us, texting them all the time. Hey, did you see this? You see this? You see this? You see this? There's literally 20,000 things these guys probably get hit up on just from the people that like them, on the stuff they could do every day, on top of the bureaucracy that's trying to screw them and knife them because they hate us at the exact same time. And so I know this. I've lost over 100 pounds in my lifetime. I didn't gain that weight overnight. I'm not going to lose it overnight. People need to go to prison. I'm just not sure exactly what is the reasonable expectation to get to that point when we're still in the process of even undoing all the evil that was done.
Steve, I don't disagree with anything you just said. The problem is for the American people, when we've reached peak levels of abuse from the government, censorship, COVID stuff, all this other stuff, we're at the point now, Steve, where it really doesn't matter what you say or what I say or anything like that. The people are going to demand a scalp at some point in time, several scalps. They simply will. There's nobody can talk them down from that. They've seen enough. Where do we go from here?
Well, that's what we're trying to determine. And right now, given where we're at as a country, we're kind of a godless culture. So the idea of a constitutional republic is just not achievable. We have a broken social compact that almost half the country doesn't want to live the way that our constitutional republic was framed and formed. And so on one end, you have people that want the total state. They want the state in whom we live and breathe. And in response to that, we are now, turning to, I guess, what I would call red Caesars. I would say the governor of Florida was one of those. President Trump is certainly the OG version of this. You've alluded to this when you've talked about if the right does not get the recompense that it deserves, where it will turn next. Trump, frankly, without the stuff that you're talking about and that is needed, you are correct. Trump will actually be the most benevolent form of this. I mean, if you listen to the rhetoric of J.D. Vance, for example, he's maybe more tactical than what Trump has been in the past. But his rhetoric on these issues and what needs to be done about them, frankly, is often way more brutal in terms of substance than even the stuff that Trump says. And I think that is a window to the soul of what's going to happen here. I mean, Tucker Carlson likes to say the iron law of the universe bends to justice. Sooner or later, there will be justice. That is the arc of history. People will demand it, peaceably or otherwise. So the problem this administration has right now is they have a one-term president, a Congress. Do you even know what a Congress is, Jesse? Do we even have a second branch of government? They have worked 40 days and been off 39. All right, and so they're literally doing nothing, which might be good. Given how feckless they are, they might just get in the way if they tried to do something, okay? So basically, it's the Trump administration versus the entire imperial armada. That's essentially what it is, right? There's no backup plan. There's very few governors that are really interested in getting into this fight on a substantive level in their own states. And so we're going to be frustrated by the lack of what this administration, even on its best days, will be able to accomplish. And that frustration is going to have our side turning to increasingly aggressive figures. I agree with you on that.
Speaking of justice, Dr. Fauci, this is one of those things, Steve, that I get these emails, same ones you get, man, parents who lost a child, parents who were injured, kids who missed a graduation. I realize half the country still worships this vicious little troll, but the other half of the country is watching him get fat and rich in retirement and give press conference after press conference about how he has no regrets. Every time I see Dr. Fauci speak and say something like that, I say to myself, well, that's one step closer to a dictator. That's the kind of stuff people can't take, man. And me too. I can't take it.
Listen, I as far as I know, I'm the only person that's written 2 best-selling books about the scamdemic. So I've gotten to the point I've had to mute them in my accounts. I can't look at them. It gets me to a point of bile. It turns me into a person I really don't want to be. I've done everything I could do. Okay, I exhausted every avenue I possibly could to have some kind of reckoning on this. I think Pete Hegseth, when he put out that video statement the other day, Jesse, saying, "Hey, we're sorry. What happened to these military members? You got screwed. It was wrong. The order was unlawful. It shouldn't have happened." Is that the first time a member of our federal government has said anything like that, remotely close to that? I think it might be.
Man.
Mm-hmm. And think about that. And Pete wasn't even in power when any of that happened. And he's the first person to say something. And so I see it in my feed too. I mean, I see a lot of people who love Robert F. Kennedy Jr. It's like, hey, it's day 68. Hey, it's day 72. Hey, it's day 75. Why aren't the COVID shots taken off the market yet? Okay. So you're right. People's patience level, particularly the people that are the most engaged, is the most frayed it has ever been. Okay. And that energy will not just dissipate on its own. I mean, that's just not how human nature works. That energy will either get justice through the peaceable process. That is how history books work. People will adjudicate these things through the peaceable process, or they'll use the unpeaceable processes to do so. That's just human history. But that energy just never evaporates and goes away untreated.
That brings me to Pam Bondi, Steve. And I am not anti-Pam Bondi. I'm very undecided on Pam Bondi, but I have this sense, this spidey sense keeps tingling. My arm hair is sticking up as we speak, Steve. I feel like we're being played. I get press conference after press conference about a drug bust, which is good. I love drug busts. We had one, it was yesterday, the day before. We have an anti-Christian bias task force. That sounds great. I'm all about tackling anti-Christian bias. It feels like I'm being given little tidbits of things they think I want, because I'm not going to get any of the things I really want, Steve, which is government people going to prison. Am I wrong?
I don't think you're wrong. And I don't think, given her political track record, Pam Bondi's been around for a long time. And she's not like Pete Hegseth or Bongino or any of those guys that have long track records of pushing back against the system and standing with the grassroots and the base. She's like a lot of Republicans. Most Republicans aren't rhinos, and most Republicans aren't us. Most Republicans, frankly, are, if you make it easy for me and profitable, I will do the right thing. But if it requires any exertion at all, any risk of even a morsel, a scintilla of political capital, I cannot be bothered. I'm like Bartleby the Scrivener, I would prefer not to, okay? And that's where she was. And she actually comes out of more of the Romney mainstream Republican wing. I thought what happened a couple of months ago with the quote unquote Epstein files struck me as someone who is sort of playing up a stereotype of Trump influencers and the Trump social media base, what they think it is, but they're not used to being with those people, so they don't really know who they really are. And they sort of gave them a karaoke version of it, and it absolutely blew up in their faces. And so I can see why after that you're getting a feeling like I'm being kind of patronized here. You're giving me morsels of what you think that I want, as opposed to I want the real thing. All right, I want this straight, no chaser. I don't want light beer. Okay, I want a thick brown lager that one of them will put me down on my back. That's what I want, and you're not alone. And I think she's going to have to deliver something. I mean, the president just got asked about this again just yesterday and was adamant, hey, yeah, we're working on this. So I think that was maybe the one big messaging misstep this White House has had so far. And it was a big one because they misstepped their own base. And this next time, whenever they say they're going to give this stuff to us, they better have something. What I don't understand, Jesse, is this. Ghislaine Maxwell's in prison for sex trafficking to somebody. They have some name. They have a name of somebody. Otherwise, why is she in prison? I mean, you can't human traffic to yourself, okay? And so she human trafficked to somebody. They could at least give us the name. Give us the name then of a foreigner, someone they couldn't arrest, but they know that she trafficked to, as like an earnest down payment. Like in any major transaction, you put money in escrow, you put a down payment down to show you're sincere about paying this thing off later. Give us just one single name of somebody Ghislaine Maxwell sex trafficked to, just to show us that you're actually serious about this, because she can't be in prison for sex trafficking to nobody. And if she is, well, then I guess the Supreme Court should go ahead and overturn her conviction on appeal, which is what they're considering right now. She either to be a sex trafficker, brother, there's got to be a sex traffickee, right?
Wow. Give us an Italian. Everyone's always game for one of those. That's what I want to see. Steve, thank you, brother. I appreciate it very much. I would thank you for coming to my YouTube channel, but I know how brilliant it is, and I know you love it here. So subscribe and watch. We're going to start really ramping things up and putting some funny stuff, some interesting stuff out there, some collaborations. Either way, my YouTube channel is officially the place to be. So stick around.